So this, it's yeah. I mean, at least it's not a rom-com. There's a lot of a lot of artificial things. The romance that there was I suppose realistic, one could say, but this is the thing. I don't know why it bills itself as a comedy drama. I don't see where the comedy is. Yeah, that's the thing. And indeed, there is, the word adulation was used within the movie itself, and it is totally where it's at. I mean, I don't know why. There's nothing. There's no one who. I mean, yeah. And, repeatedly calling him the boss is just weird, especially for someone who's never heard of it. Apparently, he's really called that, like, like Elvis is called the king or whatever. But honestly, it's just weird for someone who's never, you know, it's not like I cannot sort of get where he's coming from. Well, with regards to, I mean, obviously they made it seem like the lyrics fit perfectly to the situation and such, but um it's a bit over the top, in terms of how much there was. And I don't mind if the lyrics fit and there's music in the background. I don't mind. There's usually music in the background of most movies anyway. Sometimes these songs are a bit varied, so they're from multiple singers, not just a single one. Apparently there were a few others from just a few other singers, but a huge majority was from that guy. And so the thing is, so verbally there was a lot of, a lot of adulation indeed. Like it's just unbelievable, you know. And I'm not sure how he could have just, like when he, like, it's one thing if you try to write poetry about general subjects, but I don't know why he handed the student newspaper person his, so-called review, which later on he found out indeed wasn't really a review. Why would that? Like, what's the point of? Um, I really don't get. I never got celebrity worship whatsoever, and this is the problem with this movie, in my opinion. I don't mind at all music movies in general. Music movies. I've also commented on, what's it called again? Another sort of similar movie about another band that I've never heard of. Never heard of at all, as opposed to this guy who, yeah, I did hear of him, just didn't hear much of the music anyway. So it's not like I knew him much at all. Didn't even know he came from New Jersey and such. But seriously, it's a bit idiotic. Like I get why the movie was so focused on his idol, but it's really just a love letter, and it's a bit weird, like a love letter to anyone at all is weird, honestly, and I don't get it. That, yeah, there is an over the top thing. There definitely is. If it was toned down a bit, it would have been better, certainly. Um, Otherwise, I don't mind music movies generally. I do watch them. They can be interesting, but this was indeed a bit too much. Just a slight bit too much. So like I watched once Spike Island, which I've also commented on. They're sort of similar, but do not. Uh, yeah, this is I don't even remember what the band was called there. Even the title of this movie isn't the name of the guy. At least it'd be so weird if it was just like, "Oh, I love you" or something. It's particularly what the movie is, though. So besides the title, it's really, the title makes it sound a bit more abstract than it really is. So yeah, Spike Island on the other hand, they just wanted to go to a concert, and it's really sort of an incidental, not very, they still display their passions for the band, whatever the band was called, but not absolute adoration like this does, like constant. I think from what I remember, there is some singing of the songs, but not constant, not just in reply to almost anything. Like, even when if they're not sung, they're just spoken. Like seriously, I honestly didn't know sometimes whether whatever is spoken is the just lyrics or not. You know I'm sure someone who's more knowledgeable about the guy would have realized, but yeah, it was a bit too much. I did like though how they depicted the first thing there with the how they depicted the storm in general. A bit unrealistic, but I liked how they made it seem like a house, bricks can reflect the thunderstorm somehow, right? I mean, I'm sure it's possible if you put on some reflective surfaces like a plastic or such, but yeah, I don't think under normal circumstances. I mean, if that was true, of course, later on, many other things are not only reflected but imagined. So it's obviously just an imaginative thing. But if that was true, if thunderstorms could reflect in buildings, on walls and such, it would be quite a spectacle. One has got to say, because of course, under normal circumstances, there's buildings everywhere. There's thunderstorms occasionally. So imagine the spectacle. If that was true, everywhere would be um, reflecting. Might be a bit too bright, but certainly would be more of a spectacle than with a thunderstorm on its own. But anyway, I like small things like that in movies. To be honest, it didn't last very long, but and then of course they did the whole thing with the words going around him, which I mean, it's more than most movies have, but still not exactly the most amazing thing ever. I mean, it's usually used for, yeah, I guess just karaoke, I suppose, sort of sing along children's videos or such. I literally just finished a Willy Wonka, so they literally did that. I think I did that for the DVD update or something. But anyway, yeah, um, not that it's still fine. The words went around them and such, so they didn't just appear on the screen in karaoke fashion. You know, highlighting each word that's spoken or something. So it's not literally like that, but still. So yeah. Otherwise, though, it's too much. This and that. I thought also when they went to the US, they over fantasized that. I mean, over idealized it. Like I don't know what it was like to go there in the 80s. I suppose yeah, it was worse after, but I suppose it's still. I mean, what was the likelihood that whoever was doing the inspection is a fan himself? I don't know. Not very likely, is it? Anyway, beyond other things. Also, the father as well at the end. The father turned around too quickly. Like, if you spend most of the movie, okay, over an hour and a half, battling your son, then I don't think you just turn around 360 degrees suddenly just because you heard your son speaking. I don't know. So a bit too much. Rob Brydon's character was obviously the coolest. That's got to be said. I'm not sure why his supposed sunset he picks on him. I mean, if it was only because of music and so much for picking. But anyway, yeah. Um, Otherwise, though, as I say, it did go too far with the adulation. I do not personally like any such over the top, one person centered sort of narratives. Generally, I mean, I don't mind biopics generally, which this is, but this mania isn't really very healthy at all for absolutely anyone. For anyone at all, celebrities or not.